Bullish news on Wall Street and Main Street. The U.S. sees a boom in the economy, and Alaska is no different.
Kids don't float, but neither do moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas.
Ways to stay safe before you hit the water this holiday weekend.
And it's one of the oldest foot races in the country. Learn more about Mount Marathon from one of the racers.
And now, first in Alaska, this is the KTVA 11 Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Joe Vigil.
And I'm Emily Carlson. A positive sign for our economy tonight as the Dow Jones Industrial Average reaches a new record high.
Here in Alaska, economic news is also positive, with the latest data showing strong growth in retail, construction, manufacturing, and oil and gas. KTVA 11's Kate McPherson joins us with a closer look at the local economy. Kate.
Joe and Emily, Alaska's unemployment rate in May was 6.4%, which is in line with the national. But in Anchorage, it's a different story. Unemployment remains lower compared with the rest of the state, and economic experts say there are positive signs of growth ahead. Closing on a high. The Dow Jones tops 17,000 for the first time. Economists say positive job numbers helped the rally. US employers added more than 280,000 positions in June, well above the predicted 215,000. In Anchorage, experts say the economy is also going strong, with unemployment low at 4.9% and retail jobs leading the surge.
All this increased employment is driving more disposable income among Anchorage residents, and so they're able to spend more discretionary spending, which drives job growth in the retail and the food and beverage sectors. John
Bittman, an economic expert, says cuts in education drove down local government numbers.
Government employment on the federal and the local level both took hits.
Statewide, retail jobs are up more than 3% on average, with employment in the food and beverage industry again driving the growth. In Anchorage, comic book and gaming store Bosco's is one business benefiting from a strong economy.
These are built off of black harpies.
And now they've run out of room.
Delicately move things around and domino them around the store every time we wanted to display some new product line. And
they're moving and expanding their Spenard store to keep up with the demand.
Nice after all these years to see, people coming in now with their kids, and introducing a whole new generation to comics and games and cards. And
a small indicator that Alaska's private sector growth is continuing. The oil and gas sector has gained 400 jobs statewide when compared to the same period last year. The construction industry in Anchorage is also showing signs of growth. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Kate. In a rare move, an Alaska Native corporation threw its weight behind a U.S. Senate candidate. Board members of the Arctic Slope Regional Corporation say they support Dan Sullivan, the former DNR commissioner. The board doesn't usually support individual candidates. The ASRC says it believes Sullivan's military experience and history working with the North Slope make him the best choice for U.S. Senate. Sullivan still needs to make it through the Republican primary, where he faces Lieutenant Governor Meade Treadwell and Joe Miller.
Police say they have the man responsible for an afternoon hit and run in custody. The hit and run happened in Fairview. The victim, who lives on Carluck Street, was in her yard gardening. The car crashed into the fence, which then smacked her in the face and head as it fell. First responders treated her at the scene for a head injury. The driver fled on foot, but police later caught up with him and took him into custody.
All right, the 4th of July, one day away only.
Almost here. Yeah. Carlos joins us with a look at the weather for the ever-important holiday weekend. Hey, Carlos.
Yeah, and it couldn't get better. It's downright toasty, even in some buildings in here. And as we take a look out here, we can see that basically we have a lot of sunshine out there, and that sunshine is starting to show through the clouds. Now, one thing that we've always been talking about for the last few days, some dangerous situation has taken place. This is the satellite radar loop. And as you can see, we do have those radar returns. Notice how there's a lot less of them out there than we have seen. And basically what we're talking about is that those clouds are starting to diminish. The ridge of high pressure that's giving us all these warm temperatures and giving us all these sunny skies like you see outside right now is just really starting to move in, and that's very good news. There are watches, warnings, advisories still on many of the rivers out there. I'm going to come back in a few minutes and I'll let you know what the weekend looks like, not only for us here in South Central, but all over over the state because a lot of us are jumping on planes and in cars going on road trips.
All right, thanks, Carlos. Well, a very special patriotic symbol is in Anchorage for the 4th of July weekend. This afternoon, the honor flag stood in memory of Justin Woolham, the Anchorage police officer who was killed 13 years ago while responding to reports of a drunk driver. Woolham is one of more than 1,000 military and police officers who have had the flag present to pay tribute to their service. The honor flag travels the country with a mission to remind Americans of the sacrifices made by men and women in uniform.
We often say we'll never forget. Well, this flag embodies all that and all that these men and women do every single day. And to celebrate the 4th of July on Independence Day, this flag is here just not only for the citizens of Alaska, but the citizens of our nation.
Now, if you'd like to see the honor flag, you still have a few chances. Tonight, it will be on display at the Hilton in downtown Anchorage until 8 p.m. In exchange for a donation, they will give you a pair of gloves and you can hold the flag. Tomorrow, it will be in the 4th of July parade, which starts at 11 a.m. on the Delaney Park Strip.
Dozens of men and women pledged their allegiance to the United States to become citizens of our country today. Family and friends looked on as 55 people from 29 different countries received their citizenship at the Kincaid Chalet. It's been a long journey for many of the new Americans, and today was a big celebration.
Yeah, it's an entirely wonderful feeling to have, to go in there and be proud for where you live and what you stand for.
The new Americans had to pass vigorous tests before being accepted as citizens. Well, the 4th of July can be mayhem on the water. Boat safety is top priority this holiday weekend.
And while we get reminded every single year, there are boating safety tips that should never be overlooked. KTVA 11 Shannon Ballard is in the newsroom to refresh our memory. Shannon.
Yeah, the key to having a good time on the water is simple, according to the boating safety folks. It's all about preparation. They're pulling out all the stops to keep boaters out of trouble this weekend.
This would be a great fishing boat.
It's easy to forget from one summer to another everything you need to know about keeping safe on the water.
It's in good shape.
It's David Brubaker's specialty.
This is a Danforth anchor, and he's carrying about, about 3 feet of chain. I'd put at least 10 on this particular boat. Check the vessel's identification numbers.
The volunteer Coast Guard's member comes with his checklist.
These are mandatory items: the display of numbers, registration, PFDs or life jackets.
He says this is the best possible way to learn about potential violations of state and federal requirements.
It's always a good idea to have somebody's other set of eyes to look at what you're preparing for.
But more importantly, this once-over can keep your boat and passengers out of harm's way before you even leave the docks.
Every year it seems that some of the fuel docks we have an explosion where sparks get involved, fumes are there, and bang, people get hurt.
Really, you want to make sure that all the buckles are in good working order.
Another requirement for anyone under 18, a Coast Guard approved life jacket.
And in here, I can read the label. And I can see here that it's U.S. Coast Guard approved.
It's not just about having one, make sure it fits.
So if you pull up on the straps and it goes up over their ears, then it doesn't fit well.
If you don't have one, there are more than 700 loaner stations just like this one throughout the state.
Cold water doesn't discriminate, regardless of how strong of a swimmer you are or how long you've been boating in Alaska. This cold water doesn't discriminate.
We don't get many great weekends in Alaska, and this one is shaping up to be fantastic.
The state encourages everyone on the water to file a float plan. Let someone know where you're going and when you'll be back.
Horn works. Yeah, the horn works.
And take a communication or signaling device with you.
If you're in danger, 5 short blasts are the danger signal.
It's the little things that could make a big difference during 4th of July weekend.
One thing to make sure you don't do: operate a boat under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And the Coast Guard urges you that if you see someone driving impaired, say something. Joe and Emily.
All right, good reminder. Thanks, Shannon. And if you're looking for something to do to celebrate the 4th, here's some events happening around the Anchorage area. The 4th of July parade at the Delaney Park Strip starts tomorrow at 11 a.m. A festival will follow and will be open from noon to 6 p.m.
The Chugiak Parade begins at 2 at the Latimer Fire Station on the Old Glen Highway. And of course, the main event, fireworks, start at 11:20 tomorrow night at Mulcahy Stadium. Now, those will follow the Pilots Bucks Alaska Alaska Baseball League doubleheader.